Good morning. Shawn here with AO. Hope you're off to a great day. And it's time for our next mentor session. So let's get this going. The first question comes from Jennifer. And Jennifer says, how do I create sales scripts as well as copy for my web funnels? The background is, for my day job, I sell COVID tests to enterprises and hospitals, and because of the new mandate, sales went through the roof, which I'm extremely grateful, but it has been a bit overwhelming since it's not my company, so I can't outsource, and all of my clients want to talk to me directly. The company I work for doesn't have scripts or sales funnels for sales reps, so I had to create my own from scratch. I would like, if possible, that you take a look at what I think is a good sales funnel and good script and optimize them to be the best they can be so that I can close the most sales. Thank you very much. Okay, Jennifer, my recommendation would be that this is probably going to be where you need some consultation. Our resident sales script and objection handling coach is Tom Black. Would you please send me an email to Shawn@askamillionaire.com, SHAWN, and I will introduce you to Tom. He has a special flat rate of $500 to help somebody with their sales scripts and objection handling answers. This $500 investment will help you close more deals and make more money. And I would then, after you work with Tom, I would submit them to your boss at your company and ask them if they would be willing to reimburse you if you could share this with other reps, because it would make the company more money. If you do a good job selling it to your boss, you could probably get reimbursed, because I would reimburse my employees if it was going to make my company more money. No problem. That's what I would do. Keep me posted on that, because I'd like to see if that actually happens, because it should. Okay, the next question comes from Kristen, and Kristen says, as the daughter of a family-based business that my dad built, what are best ways to get meaningful conversations with my father as I look to take on more responsibility? The background is, I work with my dad in his company for 4 months now as his COO and partner. Everything was great in the beginning. He went from overly impressed by the small changes I've made in my overall work to now disrespecting me, belittling me, and trying to find things to be upset with me about. It feels like he wants me to fail and is always contradicting what he says. I don't know what to do. Okay. We've talked with lots of different individuals like yourself over the years, Kristen, that have come into the family business and wanted to start working with it. I also put you in touch with 3 different individuals who have gone through and are still going through some of the same issues that you have. The bottom line is, and I'm going to keep this short because I already introduced you to a video that we've posted in our portal all around this information, and I've already given you a bunch of information, but for the sake of this mentor session, it is almost virtually impossible to get our parents to give us the respect that we want. Not deserve, but want. You want respect, you want more responsibility, but the bottom line is, in almost every type of situation, parents will never see us like they see even just a normal employee, because we are their kid, and it just is a fundamental fact. In the portal, in the resource center, there are some additional materials, because I created a category specifically called family business, because this is an issue that has come up in the past. My recommendation is the best way to try, may not succeed, but to give yourself the best effort at getting some success and having a conversation with a parent is to always have that conversation outside the business, not at the business and not in your father's home or your home. Lunch, out for coffee or something, and always, if you really want to have a deep conversation to get to the bottom of some emotional issues or feelings, start the conversation with this before you even meet. Hey, Dad, I'd like to get together with you sometime this week or next week. No rush. I'd like to discuss some things that I've been feeling in order to understand where you're coming from and where the direction is. I'd like to do it outside the office so that we are free of distractions and can really focus. That way, you let him know that you want him to be prepared for a real conversation instead of one just off the cuff that leads to conflict and confrontation and him just being the dictator and boss. When you do finally meet, treat that first conversation, and you're going to have many of these, but whenever you bring up new ideas or new topics to discuss, we want to create an open air of acceptance, no conflict, and we're here to discuss, not come to a decision. So I like to say, listen, I want to talk to you about a few things that I'm feeling. I'm not necessarily looking for a resolution today. I wanted to bring it to your attention to allow you to think about it because it's very serious to me. And then after you think about it, I'd love to follow up and have another constructive conversation so that we can make sure we're on the same page and have a great relationship. And the conversation I want to have to you is not father-daughter. It is business partner or CEO, COO. That can help. It can help set the tone, but remember, in any relationship, we cannot control what the other person does. And since in this situation, as not only a minority business partner, if you are an actual business partner with ownership, and as a subordinate, him being the CEO and you being the CEO, the bottom line is he doesn't have to give a shit what you think. He is the majority shareholder. He is the CEO. Whatever he wants to have happen, that is his prerogative. If we don't like it as the minority shareholder or as the subordinate, it is then our choice to either agree to it and take the abuse and the punishment, or we do have the choice to go work somewhere else. When we feel powerless and we feel like we have no control, it can be very detrimental to our emotional stability. And it's important to remember that we do have a choice. You could say, if I choose to be in this company working for my father, I am accepting that he's never going to treat me as an equal, and he's probably not even going to treat me as well as he would other employees because I'm his daughter. But that's okay because I am still getting what I want out of life and out of this business. And that's a choice that you have to make. When people try to control other people's feelings, emotions, and then they don't get it, it can really hurt. It can really mess with our emotions. I like to always make sure I remember that I am in control of whatever I want in life, and everything that I have and do is by intent and a conscious decision. And I can always get out of it if I want. So remember that. This is a choice you're making to be in this situation. He's not forcing you. You could just leave. Okay? So that's how I would handle it. Keep us posted. You never know if this is going to work. Parents are very difficult. Older people, including myself, are very resistant to change after we've already spent decades building the life that we have today. We're happy with it. We don't want to screw with it. We just want to maintain. There is a time in life when we do get to an age with most people that we just want to maintain. We don't care about growing because we already have a great house. We already have a retirement. We already have a good business. We don't want to grow. We are good with what we have. And that would be something to understand with your father, what he thinks about that. Go into the conversation with empathy. Try to understand why he is feeling the way he is, why he's treating you the way he is, so that you can truly understand what's going on in his mind. And then you can take that information and make a decision for yourself. Man, that's like $1,000 worth of a therapy session right there. Love that. Okay, the next question comes from Kristen. And Kristen says, what sources are best to use to find people to hire? I need to hire a couple of part-time staff. I used to use Indeed years ago, but it seems to be the new Craigslist, very scammy. Looking for in-person staff at our warehouse to do entry-level work. Thank you. Okay, assuming you have the job description, the job duties, the job role, the compensation range, I like to try everywhere. For that type of position, for sure, I would go to Craigslist and I would put out some Facebook posts in a bunch of the groups in my area. If you have in your area any Facebook groups for warehouses, small businesses, all those types of things, I would be doing Facebook posts, and I would also be on Craigslist. Craigslist seems to be the place for gig society, people that want part-time work, and it's all about just making a wage. It's not highly skilled work, so that's where I would look. Trying to think of anything else. I'm going to put this out to a couple more mentors, of course, but that's what I would do. I'd probably look on Craigslist. Okay, next question comes from Alex, and Alex says, what is the best approach to a very important client meeting where you only get one opportunity? The background is, hello mentors, I am creating a SaaS business where our platform will help influencers and public people manage their digital assets in a way to help them with digital rights management and takedowns of pirated material. We help them store assets and manage the assets. I have a big meeting with a potential distributor or promoter of our platform to their customers. OnlyFans is the potential partner. When going into these meetings, what are strategies to build the relationship and secure them as a partner? Thanks. Okay, Alex, I have some experience with this because I wanted to sell my product into individual hotels throughout the country. And many of the hotels were part of an affiliation with a larger organization like Marriott or Hilton. Marriott and Hilton are the platform. They're the brand. The individual hotel, they were just following brand standards, and they looked to Marriott for recommendations or even mandated recommended partners for vendors, like to buy beds, furniture, TVs, cable, movies, soap, those types of things, linens, etc. So in your situation, you're trying to work with a master partner like OnlyFans, who then would make you an endorsed or recommended vendor to their customers, and you're trying to determine that relationship. So I would go into the first meeting understanding you don't always only get one shot. You might only get one shot if you screw it up so bad that they never want to meet with you again. So there is no reason to go into a first meeting thinking you only get one chance, because if you do a good job in the first meeting, there's going to be subsequent meetings to work out all of the details, okay? Because you're not going to go in, make a presentation to a big company like OnlyFans, and then close the deal and they're going to sign the contract that day, right? It's not going to happen. So the first meeting, I would look at discovery and maybe even be prepared for presentation. The discovery questions I would want to ask is, do they have any formal relationships with vendors in which they recommend certain vendors to their clients currently, and what does that vendor relationship look like? Is there a cost to you as a company to be a preferred or recommended vendor? What is the procedures of them promoting you to their client base? Is there an ongoing cost or revenue share? Remember, they're thinking, what's in it for me? Okay, they're listening to the radio station that we all listen to, WIIFM. What's in it for me? You might have a benefit to their customers, but OnlyFans is thinking, well, we are in the business of providing a platform so people can use our platform. That's what we are in the business for. We're not in the business of creating relationships and making money off of relationships like we might have with you. So remember that. If they do have existing relationships with recommended sponsors or other vendors like you, it would be good to know that, because then you can ask them questions about what does that type of relationship look like, okay? Secondly, if you could create a strong enough relationship, then OnlyFans, if they see a big enough need for your type of platform, they might be a potential investor in your company, or an investor partner, or they might be someone who might want to acquire your company. So I would be very careful in presenting something to a partner like OnlyFans, and then OnlyFans says, oh my gosh, this is such a great idea. We already have relationships with all of this million, influencers across the world. We should just develop a software like that for them and sell that to them. Thanks for the great idea, Alex. I really appreciate that. That happens. This does happen. And so you should definitely make sure that you understand that there is a potential that when a company that already has software developers and programmers and the client base, they may like your idea so much that they're going to go ahead and do it themselves. So you want to make sure and keep that in mind, just in case questions like that come up, okay? But the first meeting, always discovery. Find out if they have any relationship partners. Find out if they even are open to recommending other platforms and products and services that help their influencers, and what do those relationships work out. Because remember, you really want to qualify this prospect. Right now, they're just a prospect. You got to qualify them to determine if a relationship can be established, and if so, what would it look like, okay? If you approach it that way and they are interested enough in you and think that you could do a good job for their clients, and there is a relatively substantial revenue stream in it for them, there should be some subsequent meetings. That's what I have found in working with big companies like that. Whew. All right, next question comes from Andy. And Andy says, how do I best approach talking to one of my managers in my company about their need to practice healthier communication whenever they communicate with their employees? The background is I am a corporate support for a company called Natural Life. We offer a wide variety of wellness items and consider ourselves a wellness center. In fact, core value number 6 for us is wellness. We promise to use quality products and friendly service to promote a better quality of life for all. This sentence says for all, and I firmly believe that this friendly service should always be exercised from our employees to our customers, but also between managers and their employees as well. It is beneficial for us to offer a healthy work environment, as an unhealthy one always creates a slew of problems, and we believe a big key to that is healthy communication. I want to talk with one of my managers because I want to keep them on board, but I've heard more than once that this person can really come off wrong when communicating with their employees. This kind of stuff slowly but surely creates a tense work environment, which indirectly will affect sales, as we have seen before. I want to make sure I don't come off wrong and start a bad chain reaction, since we really want to keep this employee. How should I best approach them? Should I just fire them? Help. Okay. As I'm reading this, I see a lot of contradiction in your question and in your background. You say we want to promote healthy conversation and better communication, but you're having a challenge knowing how to have that healthy, productive conversation with your manager. This tells me that there needs to be some healthy communication training, not only within the team, but at the management level and even your level where you are. Because if you're having a challenge knowing how to have healthy communication with one of your managers, why would it be safe to assume that your manager has been trained on knowing how to have healthy conversation with their employees? See what I'm saying? So we probably need to get better communication and leadership training to you, so then you know how to bring some of that training into your own training program within your company to your managers, and that can carry forward to the rest of the employees. Now, with that said, I also think that you could do a better job with verbiage and terminology within your own company. You keep saying your manager has employees. Why isn't there a better sense of team instead of calling your managers having employees? Why doesn't everybody in your organization look at each other as team members? Because if you're using the word employee, that's kind of like not the most positive, amazing way that you could make somebody feel a part of the company by calling them an employee. There are wordsmithing ways, which means using different words to get your point across, that you can use at the leadership level and extend that through your organization so people feel like they're part of a culture of team as opposed to my manager and my boss. No, these are my team members. Remember, the manager's job is to do nothing more than to make sure that that team has everything they need to succeed. That is the role of the manager, to give the team everything they need. And the manager's other role is to report that process and progression of the team to their manager or leader. It sounds to me like there needs to be a bunch of communication training in place for your entire organization. And let me talk to Gabriel, and we should see about implementing something like that for you guys. Secondly, to answer your question more directly, it's healthy communication and conversation. What I don't like that I've heard is that you said this has happened on multiple occasions and you haven't already talked to the team member, the manager. When I hear something negative from a team member, I want to get on it as quick as possible. I don't want it to stew or fester or get worse, because I know that the longer things go, the worse it gets. And in the employee or the rank and file employee level, they love to gossip. They love to talk about all kinds of negative stuff, and it just is like a cancer. And it just spins out of control and goes from stage 1 to stage 4 in like 4 minutes. If I hear of an issue from a manager or a team member that's talking about a manager, I want to approach it as soon as possible. The way I would approach it is I would say, hey John, if his name is John, hey John, today at the end of your shift, let me know because I want to talk to you about a couple things. Bring him into the office. Hey John, have a seat. Hey, I want to let you know that I'm hearing a couple things, and before jumping to conclusions, I'd like to talk to you about something that I've heard, and I want to hear your perspective. I don't want to say your opinion or your view. Perspective just makes it much lighter and gives them room to think that their perspective is important and vital to the conversation. And it's important that they don't feel attacked, because people that feel attacked can traditionally go into fight or flight mode, which is not going to lead to a productive conversation. John, here is what I heard, and I want to get your perspective. I explained to them what I heard. I don't infuse my opinion or view or judgment in any way. What's your perspective of what has happened, John? Let them talk. Then, as we learn about in our leadership workshops that we do here in Nashville, which is a big weekend that you probably need to come to again, is I want to find out if there is conflict, and if maybe their perspective is that they could have handled it a little better and they screwed up. Well, what was their feeling? What was their mindset? Why are they acting that way at the company? Is there something going on at home? Are they stressed with bills? Is their mother in the hospital? Is their dog at the vet? What's going on in their life that's making them be a less than amazing employee? Because they were amazing when we hired them. They told us that they met our core values. They've done a great job. So why in this situation are they not living up to the full potential that we know they have? I want to, as their leader, I want to get to know the situation and find out what's wrong. Are they happy with working for Natural Life? Do they like the company? Are they still on board? Is this an isolated incident? Is this a character flaw that we missed during the hiring process? I want to dig in and find out. That's leading with empathy. And so it's really important to have that type of dialogue. That's the healthy conversation that you want throughout your whole organization, correct? Now, to help you with this, in the AO portal, I have amassed an extensive library in the Resource Center under leadership. A ton of amazing articles, and if I were you, I would have all the leaders in your organization, the three of you that are here in AO, going through all of those articles and reading them, because you're going to capture a lot of communication and skills to help you communicate with your managers and train them better, so that then they can work within their teams and have a better synergetic environment throughout your whole culture. Hope that helps. All right, the next question comes from Monica. And Monica says, what should I focus on first when starting a transportation business? The background is, at this present time, I am looking for direction to effectively begin my entrepreneurship journey. I am starting a non-emergency transportation business in North Carolina. The transportation service will be offered to patients and healthcare consumers who face extraordinary barriers getting to and from their medical appointments. Okay, so the first thing I want to do in any business, Monica, is I want to determine, is there a need for your service, and how can I substantiate that? If I find that there is a need, and I've substantiated that by talking to potential customers and finding out that they do want the service, and I find out what the budget is for them to pay for that service, then I want to determine how big that demand is, because that can tell me whether or not this will support me and my family, as well as is there going to be enough revenue to generate profits to pay drivers, cover insurance, pay for the vehicles, all those types, sales, marketing, taxes, everything. So that's the first thing I want to do. Is I want to substantiate that there is a need by talking with potential customers. I would suggest talking to no less than 100 potential customers and asking them, is there a need, and how much would they be able to budget for something like that, so I can start building out my business plan. That's what I would do. Then I would start simultaneously determining what kind of insurance, licensing, and things that I would need if I was going to be a private transportation company in the city in which I want to start my business. Here in Nashville, the private transportation chauffeur type companies, they actually have to get licensed and bonded and insured and pay the city. And so I would look into all of those types of things. One of the ways that you could find that out is maybe networking with another private transportation business in your city and trying to talk to a manager or owner and see and let them know that you're creating a private transportation business that will not compete with them. And you are wondering if you might be able to come and pick their brain and find out what kind of licensing, insurance, and maybe some things to think about when starting that business. Maybe a potential industry mentor for that. Okay? Keep us posted on that, Monica. Okay, the last question comes from Kurt, new member. And Kurt says, what's the best way to determine the best opportunity out of a selection of seemingly good options? The background, I came to AO to begin working on building out different systems and processes to take my current branding and design business from being a contractor and take on the role of creative director, working with a team. However, as I've been going through the Authority Expert course, I've started questioning if that's what I really want to do long term. I initially got the entrepreneurial itch a little over 10 years ago when I started a clothing company. This idea behind this company was that I would use it as a motivational and inspirational platform, primarily based on my journey of dealing with and overcoming challenges with mental health. The brand ultimately didn't progress because I hit a point where I became so afraid of sharing my story and so afraid of being judged that I got stuck in the paralysis by analysis phase and never progressed. All that being said, I'm at a point in my life now where I've overcome those fears, and when I look at what I've written so far on my Authority Expert template, my strongest experiences, greatest strengths, and skills that I've developed can all be directly tied to what I've learned in dealing with mental health issues. I guess I'm at a bit of a point where this idea has never left me, but the most immediate opportunities for myself are in the area of brand design and creative direction. I know I want to pursue this brand because of the deeper meaning and personal experience I can speak from, but I also don't want to spread myself thin trying to develop multiple things at the same time. Okay, so this is a very, very common thing, especially going on in the world right now. Social media and the proliferation of people writing books and creating social media channels, podcasts, those types of things. People are at an all-time high and getting larger of being able to share their story, be heard, and hopefully try to help other people. The challenge with that is most of them go broke because there's so much crowded space in that people have a hard time just making money selling their knowledge, because the knowledge is their experience of things they did to overcome. What people want to know is well, how can I do it? So then you would have to then say, well, I read these books, which means you're helping somebody else sell their books. I took these classes, which means you're helping somebody sell their classes. I hired this therapist, and now that therapist gets paid. And how do you get paid, right? So it's kind of like you're building out an AO for people that want to learn how to overcome mental issues that have happened in their life. Very difficult to monetize that, because that's kind of like, just you sharing your experience. And I don't know why it is, but somebody would rather learn that from Tony Robbins than Shawn Thomas. Like, I know that I have the understanding and the ability, which is displayed by me starting AO, to help anyone go from $0 to $1 million in their business. AO can help that person better than, or just as good or better than any other person or organization on the face of the planet. I know this. Track record of success. I've done it myself. I've helped people do it. But people would still rather, when Gary Vee or some big public persona who's been in the news and done these things, when they offer a course or a class or an organization, people will sign up for that in a heartbeat. I can do the same information. So I know how difficult it is to build a brand marketing your knowledge. It's not easy, and it takes time. Luckily, I've been able to build AO because I already had amassed a pretty good amount of money from the sale of my last company, and I didn't start this company based purely on money, and I still don't do it based purely on money. So that's a decision that you would have to make. Now, in your situation, Kurt, you can do both. Like, there are days that I say, I wish I was a part owner as the CEO and maybe even a business development person in another company as kind of a part-time, full-time job, and still run AO, because AO doesn't have to take up 40, 60 hours of my week. And so I could do both. I miss running a company and being involved in it, even though AO is a company. So you could create an agency in which you go out there and you help people with their businesses and build relationships and bring in revenue, while also starting your own podcast, your YouTube channel, your social media channels, and really utilizing the talent that you hire to help your clients from a graphic design, copy, funnels, social media management, etc. You could be doing both simultaneously. The challenge is right now all you have is you. If you build out an entire creative agency, now you've got a ton of resources that you can use at your that you can use in order to help facilitate you building out your personal brand too. Does that make sense? Remember, just look at Gary Vaynerchuk, if you know who that is. Gary built his Gary Vaynerchuk brand because he owned VaynerMedia and the wine shop where he made a lot of money, built VaynerMedia, and then he took a ton of money from VaynerMedia, income that he had, and resources from VaynerMedia, from interns and employees, etc., to go out there and promote him across all the platforms out on social media. How do I know this? Because he paid me thousands and thousands of dollars when he first started to promote him on my Instagram channel. And so he spent I'm telling you, I'm going to guess, maybe even upwards of $1 million promoting himself on social media, on all the big influencer channels, all of us. That helped him build this 9 million follower, etc. And then he goes and sells a book and makes $1 million off of a book or more. And so by having the shared resources within VaynerMedia and the leverage of all of that talent and the ability to attract interns that just wanted to work for Gary, he was able to then leverage that and build a brand helping people and not charging them. Gary's business model is brilliant when you have a lot of money or a lot of time and money. He tells people that he does what he does for free and he's this nice guy, but then every so often he does his 80-20 thing and he says, okay, now buy this from me, and he makes millions. He makes more than people like me that are selling services. He just says he does it for free, but his back-end knowledge is, I'm going to do all this for free so that you love me, and then you love me so much that you go buy my book just because you love me, and you go buy my merch, and you go buy my NFTs, and you do these things. It's a whole different business model that public figures and that have a lot of money like Gary can do. Very difficult for individual people like ourselves. So as you're trying to figure this out, Kurt, remember, your talent that translates into revenue and money into your life comes from your ability to do graphic design and creative direction. Leverage those resources to build a team. This is what I would do. I would leverage those resources to build a multi-million-dollar creative agency that could also support my personal endeavors of promoting mental health, sharing my story, doing speaking engagements, etc. Okay? That's what I would do. Hope that helps. Okay, that was the last question. I hope you guys got something from this mentor session. Remember, when you go into the mobile app, which should be an icon on the first page of your phone, go into the mobile application, click the bottom right-hand side. It'll take you right to the portal where you can ask a quick question, keep your credentials logged in so you can make it really easy for yourself to go into the portal and ask a question. All right, I will see you guys soon. And remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but I do talk with a bunch of people on the phone all the time that just want maybe a one-on-one individual consultation with me to deep dive for 30 minutes to an hour. If you ever want to book a call like that, shoot me a message. I charge $250 for a call. I know this is over and above what we do in AO, and I'm more than happy to answer these questions, but all of the people that I talk to and have a one-on-one conversation with and do a deep consultation, we can accomplish a lot and put you on a really nice path and dig deep, and that can be really worth it for you so that you can have some clear direction on something that you might be challenged with today. So if you ever want to set up a call like that, just shoot me an email to Shawn@AskAMillionaire.com and we can set up those calls. Okay? There's actually a couple people that pay me an annual coaching fee of $2,500 a year, and it comes with a call every month, and they get access to my cell phone for quick calls all throughout the month. If they're having an issue and they just need to talk about something real quick, they send me a text and say, hey, Shawn, let me know when you got 5 minutes. I let them know when I have 5 minutes, and they're like a priority to me to be able to get back to them and help them. So if you're interested in something like that as well, let me know as well. Okay? Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.